To get started. So this is the first time we've ever done this. These are our Conversations with Legends series, where we bring on iconic people from corporate America, from the military, from pro sports, to talk about their stories. And they're really designed for members of the Talent Champions Council. For the first time today, we're offering this to everybody. So we have a lot of folks that are on that are not in the Talent Champions Council. So I'm not going to give you a big talk on what the Talent Champions Council is all about. But I will say that the Conversations with series is legends like Coach Vermeil, who won a Super Bowl with the Rams, Randy Chastain, who's a two-time World Cup champ, and two-time Olympic gold medalist, Claude Silver, Kara Golden, the CEO of Hint, Navy SEALs, Green Berets. We have just absolutely amazing people that come on and talk to us and help to inspire us. So today is no different, and I'm super excited to introduce my very good friend, Heather. But before I do, just a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the format, but also very quickly what we have coming up. So December 12th, we have Dr. Jeff Spencer. Dr. Spencer is one of those guys where you say, how could this actually be true? He is an Olympian. He's a world-renowned artist, and he has coached the likes of Richard Branson, Tiger Woods, Lance Armstrong, and many, many more. Dr. Smith is going to be joining us on December 12th. On December 21st, we have Avram Miller. Avram is the author of The Flight of the Wild Duck. He is the founder of Intel Capital, and Andy Grove is the one who called him a wild duck. Andy Grove is a legendary CEO from Intel, said that every company needs a wild duck, and Avram was always that for him. But Avram worked with Steve Jobs, Bill Gates early on, and legends. So we've got Avram coming up on the 21st. Then on January 11th, we have Megan Riley. Megan Riley is a Shark Tank alum, where she got a deal from Mark Cuban for her company Tippy Toes. Megan is a great, great friend. So she's coming on the 11th of January. On the 25th of January, we have the CEO of Game Day HR, Katrina Gazarian. And then on February 8th, tentatively pencil this in, we have Antonia Hawk, who is the global head of the Ritz-Carlton Leadership Center. And then we are working on a special guest, Howard Schultz, the chairman and founder of Starbucks. So we're anxiously awaiting when we can get Howard on. So these conversations, I think what makes them special is not only are they legends, but these are interactive. So we talk for about 30 minutes or so, and then we open it up to you guys. And the way that we do that is you don't have to put your question in chat. All you have to do is say, I have a question. Kathy will let me know. And then you can ask your question directly to Heather. So they're live, they're interactive, and they're a ton of fun. So without any further ado, one of my best friends, Heather Monahan, is joining us today, and she's the first person that has done an encore performance. So Heather, thank you so much. Heather is a top 100 podcaster. She's a CEO. She's on the faculty of Harvard. She's a TEDx speaker. She is now officially a two-time best-selling author for Confidence Creator and for Overcome Your Villains. Unbelievable books. We're going to talk about those today. And if that's not enough, I think it was last week, she was named one of the top 50 speakers in the world, with Tony Robbins, Brene Brown, Mel Robbins, etc. So, Heather, I don't know what to say other than thank you for joining us. But Heather is just one of those people. She always shows up, and especially in this time when she's super busy with the book that just launched. I can't thank you enough for joining us. So welcome again, Heather.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me back, Scott. I love the encore. Do you want more? I thought maybe I'd have Jay-Z walk-up music, but that's okay. Next time, possibly.
Next time.
All right, so I have to share. Scott's right. Well, thank you for the kind words, Scott. Love you to death, you know that. But what's funny is Scott was the first person I text when I got a message. This is a crazy story, and I have to share it real quick because I'm so flippin' proud and I'm still in awe about what happened. It's just, I'm shocked. I'm super excited, and I feel really grateful. But with my new book coming out, my new book is with HarperCollins Leadership. And anytime you go to the next level, there's higher expectations, there's more pressure, there's more people involved, right? So yes, launching my first book was scary. I had no idea what I was doing. Launching my second book, there has been much more pressure on me from the team and expectations. To make a long story as short as possible, we ran into some major problems with supply chain issues, shipping, and your goal as an author, especially as a traditionally published author, is to sell as many advanced copies so that when you have the first 7 days of your book dropping, you're able to hit all the lists that you're striving for, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, etc. So, we worked for 8 months on this November 9th date to hit all these lists. Well, anyways, the Friday before November 9th, so a couple days before I got the call, your shipping date has changed to November 16th. Let's change launch to the 16th, which might not sound like a big deal to you, but after 8 months of working on getting everything focused on the 9th, podcast dropping, people emailing lists, events, etc., it was heartbreaking. And so I said, okay, we'll still try and see if we can do it. I knew I would hit the list if it, everything went according to plan, because I worked so flipping hard for 8 months on this. I knew that I was going to make it. Put it out to the universe. It was happening. Anyways, half of my books shipped on the 9th. Randomly, Barnes & Noble got their books. Randomly, one of my events got 1,000 books shipped to them. Randomly, Books A Million got their books. So half of my books shipped on the 9th and the other half shipped on the 16th, which, drum roll please, meant I didn't make the list, right? Because you need a combined number, they don't say like, oh, Heather, great job, supply chain issues, we're gonna go ahead and grandfather you in. We know that you were working on making this happen, right? So I missed it. And it was funny because it was just the other day when I went and looked at the list and I saw I'm not on it. Of course, I knew they would have called me, but I wanted to look for myself. And so I'm looking at the list and I'm feeling so bummed out and so, cry me a river. I get it, first world problems, but to me, it's like an 8-month, baby in the way. I thought I was giving birth and it didn't happen. So I'm sitting there feeling bad for myself. And I think, what can I do to make myself feel better right now? And I thought, help somebody. If you can help someone, you'll feel better about your situation. So I'm selfishly thinking, who can I help in this moment? And my friend, David Nurse, pops into my head. And I thought, oh my gosh, his book is dropping in a few days. And I haven't had him on my podcast to support him in his book launch. Shoot. So I send him an email. Hey, how are you doing? I know book launch is coming up, blah, blah, blah. I'm here to support you in any way possible. Can we jump on a call in the next couple of days so I can record you for my podcast and help you sell books? He responds back to me in this email. Remember, I'm sitting there feeling bad for myself and I'm trying to make myself feel better. He responds back to me, holy cow, Heather, and a link. And so I see on the link, it says top 50 speakers. And I thought, oh my gosh, my friend David Nurse made the list. So I click on the link, right? I'm living in book world. Like, I'm not even thinking about speaking right now. All I think about is the list for the book. And I click on the link and I start scrolling, and I get to his head and I'm like, my friend, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for David. It's amazing. But then the curious part of me is like, I wonder who else is on this list. And I keep scrolling, 10 or 12 beyond my friend. And there's my head. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on this list. I can't believe I'm on this list. And I beat the friend that I'm actually reaching out to help. I'm like, oh my gosh. Then I'm like, who else is on this list? And then I keep going, and then I see Brene Brown and Tony Robbins and Les Brown and, you know, the biggest speaking names in the industry. So the reason why I want to share this with all of you is I think sometimes Scott knows this is not the case, but other people might not know. When they see me, sometimes they think, oh gosh, you know, she's just so blessed. You know, everything just works out for Heather. It's like, you know, she just sails in and has a marvelous life. No, like this is not my life at all. So I just want to give you a quick timeline on what happened here. In Q4 2017, I was fired. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life, how I was going to make money. I land on the Elvis Duran show. He says to me, well, obviously you're writing a book. I wasn't writing a book, right? But he spoke life into me and spoke a belief into me. And that's all I needed. I took that ball and I ran with it. I Googled, how do you write a book? And it turns out you just write. So anyways, that's not why I'm telling you the story. So I write a book, which when you self-publish is so not hard. And if you've ever wanted to write a book, self-publish it and just get it done, right? So I invest in myself. I hire an editor. I've got a book. Boom. I got to Google, how do you sell books? I've been in sales my whole life, but I didn't know what is the right, what's the best return? How should I spend my time to move as many units of the book as I can? And it says speak. Now, my entire career in corporate America, over 20 years, I spoke on some of the biggest stages, from the National Association of Broadcasters to award shows, but no one ever paid me 1 cent for it, because in corporate America, that's part of your job as an executive. You go speak at things. I didn't know there was a speaking business, swear to God. Now, I will say this in hindsight. I remember one day getting off the stage and someone said to me, you have a gift. You need to lean into your gift. And I thought, oh yeah, speaking, I'm independently wealthy. I'll just go speak a lot of places. Thanks. But I'll never forget that person said that to me. And I thought, okay, whatever, I got to get back to work. That's part of, what I do. Well, I Google, how do you sell books? It says speak. So I start cold calling companies. Hey, I'd love to come in to your organization, talk about how confidence can impact innovation, which can impact revenues. I want to come in and work with you guys. Would you buy some books and I'll come in and do a speech? Sure. People start saying yes. Until one day I call a company. It's all a numbers game. And they say, sure, what's your speaker fee? And I said, hang on 1 second. And I went to my good friend Google. By the way, Google does not support me or sponsor me yet. If anyone here works at Google, let's work a deal. So I Google, what is a speaker fee? I have no idea. And Gary Vaynerchuk, for whatever reason, pops up. At this time, he's much more now, $350,000 a keynote for 60 minutes. My jaw drops and I say, this is a business. Why did I not leave corporate America 20 years ago? I would be making so much more money. 350 grand for Gary Vaynerchuk for 60 minutes? I'm all in. So I went all in aggressively. I discovered this new business that I literally did not know existed. PS for you, if you are in a business right now, living in a bubble, like I was in the media bubble, that's everyone I talked to, that's everyone I worked with, that's all I looked at. Pick your head up out of your proverbial bubble and look at a different industry, because you'll find your unique skills, your unique talents can be applied and leveraged in other areas, other arenas that I guarantee you don't even know exist yet. And you might be able to make a lot more money or enjoy what you're doing even more so than what you're currently doing. Okay, that was sidebar. Okay, so now I realize, all right, there's a speaking business. I don't know anything about it, but I know I can speak. So I think, let's start looking into this and Google more about the speaking business. I see there's speaker bureaus, speaker agents. Boom. Okay, I want to leapfrog everybody. I need to get with the best bureau and the best agent so they can start booking me like rapid fire and I can be an overnight millionaire. Done. This is great. This is back in 2018. Apparently, it's not quite as easy to get an agent or with a speaker bureau as I thought it would be. I thought they were all going to say, Heather's here. Like, thank you, Heather. Thank you. You're going to be amazing. No, they did not. So I start stalking people because everything is sales, right? And I think Harry Walker Speaker Agency looked like the most prestigious. It had all the presidents, right? That was the look I was going for. No one would get back to me. I kept getting iced out, crickets, or I was getting no's. So I thought, I'll go to the president, right? Don't ever take a no from someone who can't give you a yes, period. So I get to the president. I'm stalking him online. I find his email. shout out to my friend who has a company called Seamless AI. And through social media, they can get you anybody's email, and they don't pay me to give them shouts out, but it's true. That's how I got his email. So I get the guy's email. I put myself in his shoes. I stalk the guy online so I know his situation. And I say, I know I'm so impressed with, I give him like a bunch of compliments, of course, lead with, honest compliments. And then I shift to, the reason why I'm reaching out to you today is I think I can add value and a new revenue stream to your portfolio. Here's how. As I checked out your roster, you don't have any female C-suite, former C-suite executives on there. I can speak to business in a very different angle in that I just left that arena. He responds right back, thank you so much for the kind words. You are not unique enough. Come back to me when you're unique. And so I thought, okay, how can I be more unique? And literally the next day, my book trumped Donald Trump for #1 on the business biography list on Amazon. I grabbed that screenshot right away before it disappeared. It was like up for 1 millisecond and I got it. And I thought, okay, I bet no one on his roster has trumped the president for #1 on the business biography list. That's how I'm going to be unique. So I replied to his email 24 hours later with the screenshot included. Thank you so much for your feedback. I believe after looking at your roster, none of your speakers are authors who have trumped the president for #1 on the business biography list. Based off of your feedback, I think I'm officially unique, which means I'm officially a Harry Walker speaker. And he writes back, touche, I will add you. So he adds me as a speaker and they put me up next to a former president, I don't remember. And I took that screenshot and started marketing it to APB speakers, GDA speakers, all these speaker bureaus that I'm now with, right? So I leveraged the one to get all the rest. And, it took time and some people have still said no, but I'm on the majority of the speaker bureaus. Okay, so then I'm waiting for the phone to ring. I'm ready. I'm with the most premier speaker bureaus in the world. Crickets. So someone says this to me who's a seasoned speaker. Everybody thinks that you get with a speaker bureau, you get an agent, and you're a millionaire overnight because you're a good speaker. Here's the truth. The day you'll really be successful will be the day you don't want an agent, because agents only show up when you don't need them anymore. Gary Vaynerchuk gets 85 agents a day calling him because they know business is coming direct. And I say, no, that's wrong. I'm with the premier speaker bureaus. I'm a really good speaker. The guy's like, listen, trust me. So at this time, it's 2019. So I said, I've got to do something different than to separate myself. I'll give a TEDx talk. Maybe if I get on a big enough stage, people will notice me. I give a TEDx talk. It went great. It's 10 minutes. Definitely check it out if you haven't before. It's worth it. It gets promoted to TED, translated into 6 languages, and they release it to the public Thanksgiving Eve. The absolute worst time for any content to go out to marketplace. So again, I'm defeated. I'm like, okay, that was a lot of work for nothing. No one's going to see it. And really no one saw it. So then I get a phone call from my good friend, Scott McGregor, who says, you're not going to believe this, but the Drift Marketing Conference is looking for someone to interview Jesse Itzler and Sarah Blakely. This could be your big moment that is going to allow you to break through. Scott gets my name tossed in the mix. Luckily, Scott had introduced me to Jesse previously. I had him on my podcast. So all these things were leading to this amazing opportunity. I get to interview Sarah and Jesse live on stage. Everything goes wrong that could. I literally almost fell down walking out onto the stage, made a joke and saved myself. And at the end, people went wild. It was amazing. My speaking business started blowing up. Mind you, we're now moving into January 2020. And I'm like, this is it. This is my year. Get ready. Forget you, corporate America. I'm out. 350K a speech. And then the pandemic hit. And every one of my speaking engagements canceled. And I was stuck at home, beyond defeated. And I got an email a few months later saying, are you a virtual speaker? And I Googled virtual speakers. I don't even know what a virtual speaker is in 2020, right? Did anyone? I don't know what a virtual speaker is, but I see a couple of speakers have this like a certification on their thing, certified virtual speaker. And I think, I don't even know what a virtual speaker is, much less how do you get a certification? Do I need a certification? So I respond to the guy the same way I would with anything in business when I'm not sure. I'm happy to do the event for you, your virtual speaking engagement, but I'd like to, in full transparency, let you know I'm not certified, don't even really know what the certification means. So why don't we do this? I'll offer you 100% money back guarantee. If I don't deliver for you, you get your money back. He's like, okay, that sounds fair. So I don't know how many of you guys have been on Peloton or have, done in studio kind of spin events versus on Peloton. Some people translate, some people do not, right? There's some people that you're like, I feel like you're with me. Like, I'm so vibing with you. And there are other people you're like, I'm pedaling, watching, a talking head. I'm not feeling it. I want to go back to in person. That was my fear, is like, what if I can't connect? So anyhow, I end up connecting, and then I end up getting a lot of virtual speeches, and I end up getting pretty good at virtual speeches. And I forget about in person, right? Because that's all we've done for a flipping year. And you can do so many in a day because you literally click and next one, click and next one. There's no flight. So I end up killing it in this virtual world until about 6 months ago when someone said, can you do an in-person event? And then I was scared all over again. What if I got so good at virtual speaking, I'm no longer a certified professional speaker? What if I need certification to come back and do this now? Literally, this is what I was thinking. I was so nervous. Thankfully, my first event was Entrepreneur Organization South Florida. The crew was amazing. It was their first in-person event. They were just so grateful to have somebody live with them. They didn't even care what I was saying. And luckily, there were cocktails being passed. So it went unbelievable. And then, like anything, the more you start doing it, the better you start getting at it, right? So I started getting momentum and momentum. Cut to 2 weeks ago, I was speaking for a huge conference at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando. And it was my first massive stage in almost 2 years, well, at least a year and a half. And I was sitting backstage, and an older gentleman came to me and he said, I want to let you know something. Our keynote speaker yesterday killed it. The crowd loved him. Do you think you're going to be able to stand up to what he could do? And I was closing. I'm supposed to be the best one. I'm closing the event for them. I'm the last speaker. And I smiled at him and I said, I think I got it. And I really felt super confident in that moment. I did not feel nervous because I had done a bunch leading up to it. And because I had a year and a half of these back-to-back virtuals, being able to talk on my feet and just roll with it. And I walked out there and that place went crazy. And when I swear to you, tell you, it was my best speech I've ever given in my life. And I've been begging them for the footage. It's so flipping good. And at the end, they said, Heather, we're cutting Q&A because there's a camera in the back. There's 30,000 people live streaming. You've got a couple thousand people at the event in person. Q&A is going to be too confusing. End everything by telling everyone they get one of your books. We have a huge delivery that just showed up. Thousands of books are here. So I'm thinking, okay, how can I do it? What do I do to make it exciting? And I'm walking out on the stage and I think, who's a great, exciting speaker? Oprah Winfrey. And I remember on her show, she used to be like, you get a car and you get a car and you get a car. So in my mind, I thought, okay, at the end, do your best impersonation of Oprah Winfrey. And they thought it was hilarious. They went wild. They were so excited. And I got a standing out. So I left that event like, all right, I'm back. I'm so excited. And then cut to, I didn't get the Wall Street Journal list. I'm sitting there, feeling so badly for myself. Cut to, I email my friend to help him out and he shoots me over that list. So the reason why I share that long story is that on the outside, people might see me on that list and be like, oh, of course she was destined to have that. No, there was no destined for anything. There is a series of epic fails, epic challenges, and continuing to say there's got to be another way. Don't take your eye off that goal. Let nothing get in your way, and nothing ever will. And I had no idea I was going to show up on that list, but I can promise you this, I'm going to leverage the heck out of that title for the next 12 months that I get the opportunity to ride that train, and make sure that this is the moment that I had thought I was stepping into back in 2019. So I hope that, did I just talk too long, Scott? I don't even know.
I love it.
Talk about this.
I love it. No, I love your energy. I love everything you talk about. And we are going to go to Q&A pretty quickly. But I think I could probably think of a question or two for you. But thank you. And I am paying you in hugs and I don't know, likes. So You are such a good friend. I think people do see Heather Monahan, social media, they see the books, they see you making these lists. They see the 200,000 followers you have on LinkedIn. They see all this stuff. What is something that most people don't realize about you?
Okay, well, I'm a single mother, which I know everyone's like, oh, that's so nice. It's so hard. And I don't think people understand how challenging it is. And again, I'm not a millionaire. People think I'm a millionaire. No, I am not a millionaire. There is a certain amount of runway to starting your own company and entering a new business as a rookie, right? I'm a rookie author. I'm a rookie speaker. I'm a rookie podcast host. I was an expert in the media business, but I left that business, right? So I started over as a single mom in a brand new business, and I needed runway to get this thing to take off. And then our friend COVID came and really knocked me on my ass, basically. So it's been a tough road. Here's a great example. This is my day this morning, swear to you. I get my son off to school. We're up at 5:30 in the morning. We're out the door by 6:20. He has to take a long bus ride to get to school. I'm back home. I work out. I come back home. I'm working. The phone rings. This is at 10:30 this morning. It's my son's school. Hi, Heather. Your son was joking around in the halls, caught his finger on a piece of metal, and I believe he's going to need some stitches. Can you come pick him up? At 10:30 this morning, I'm like, no, I cannot come pick him up. I have Scott McGregor's event at noon, and the school is 1 hour away. Like, it can't happen. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, hang on, put him on the phone. This is bad parenting, but this is really what happens. He gets on the phone. I'm like, are you crying? Nope. Are you going to be okay? Mom, do I need to be okay? Yes, you need to be okay. I could potentially pick you up in the afternoon, but I cannot pick you up right now. Mom, I will be okay. All right, thank you. Put the lady back on. Lady gets back on. I said, I just have a feeling he's going to be fine. Why don't you sit with him for a few minutes, calm him down, and send him back to class? Any other problems? I'm here if you need me. And she's like, are you sure? I said, I am sure. Like, let's make it work, sister. And yes, that is not the best parenting. I'm sure plenty of parents would have just gone and canceled their day and drive out and get their kid. But my son knows, he knows if you're busy, mom, like whatever time you can get here will be good enough. We'll make it work. And I think a lot of people don't understand that that's sort of the journey of a single parent. You don't always feel like you're doing the right thing. Hopefully in the end, it all comes together and works out. But there are challenging moments on any given day that definitely are not highlighted on social media.
But I think that is good parenting because you're teaching your kid, like kids can't get rescued all the time and they need to figure stuff out and they need to go through, tough times and build resiliency. And he did that when he broke his arm at camp and, all of that stuff. So,
oh my gosh, cool. Wait, Corey just said, just rub some dirt on it. That is basically what I said to him. So thank you for that.
That's what Robert Owens would do. Little spit, dirt, boom, you're back in the game. Like we don't take timeouts for little stuff like that. So I have a million questions that I could ask you, but I'm going to hold off on those because we have a bunch of people that are dying to ask you a question. And I did promise my good friend Lindsay, who I love to death, that Lindsay would be able to ask the first question. And that's because she and I were chatting yesterday. So Lindsay, my little friend from California, you are up with Heather Monahan.
Thank you.
Fire away.
Thank you so much, Scott. Heather, you are so awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so energized just listening to you. Thank you so much for talking to us today. My question is, honestly, what's next for you? That's what I want to know. What is next for Heather?
Oh my gosh, Lindsay, I wish that you had the answer to that question, not the question. So I have no freaking idea. Here's the thing. Back in 2017, I never thought I was leaving that company that I worked at. And in my mind, I knew I would be the CEO of a company, whether it was the one I was at or that I was going to get plucked out of there. But I knew it was going to be in media. I've been so wrong about what my future is going to be that I really don't forecast that anymore. Here's what I can tell you. And it's funny because 10 years ago, I had a 10-year plan of exactly what that timeline would look like. I used to always say, like, it's such a clear, well-lit path. I was fooling myself, though, because I was dependent on the industry I was in, the company, the person I work for. And now I'm just dependent on me, which is, even though it's been really challenging to get to where I am today, it's so much better now to be in charge, right? And not have to depend on somebody else. That part's pretty freaking awesome. But I'll tell you, I could be creating a movie around my first or my second book. I could be hosting a TV show with my friend Kim Gravel. I could be selling a product line on QVC. I could be launching a skincare line. I could be doing a series of sales books. I have a lot of people who ask me to do that. I could just go all into speaking and give up everything else. I feel like there's so much opportunity, and I don't want to say, this is how it's going to be. Instead, I choose to show up now in my life open to what's going to happen next. Sort of like I was so committed to, I have to be the Wall Street Journal bestseller with this book, and it's going to happen on November 9th. I feel like the universe is showing me, lighten up there, sister. You know, you're not in charge of it. Yes, go do the hard work, do that next right thing, put the effort in, but then let go. And I'm just so reminded of that lesson that I've only learned recently by sitting there in my own tears saying, okay, how do you pick yourself up? Go help someone. I shoot that email out and I get back that response about the speaking business. So I'm super open to what might happen next. Sadly, I wish I could give you a more definitive answer, but it's going to be freaking exciting. It'll be about helping people. It'll be about showing up as the most real, authentic version of myself. And it will be powerful AF. How about that, Lindsay? Does that
I love
work?
it. We'll be waiting on what's next. So
no, don't wait. I want you out there blazing your own path, sister. Like I'm not
we'll be waiting, watching.
Just for me. All right. I want you blazing your own too.
What I think is cool is that when you have the mindset that Heather has, and when you have a bias for action, you can live into the answers. Like you don't have to know. Like I know for a fact, good things are going to come for Heather. When I first met Heather, she didn't have 200,000 followers on LinkedIn. I don't even think you had a book. You weren't doing speaking. And I was like, I remember saying to people like Kathy, this woman that I just met, Heather, she's going to be big. Like I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew because of her work ethic, her bias for action, that great things were going to happen. And that's exactly what has happened because you just kind of live into the answers. So we're going next to Pennsylvania. Tyler Meckes, who I think has had you on his podcast. Tyler, you're up with Heather.
First off, Heather, great to see you again. And I'd love, as always, love the energy that you bring. And I know everybody else appreciates it as well. So thank you so much again for sharing that story. But, you know, as you know, we both couldn't agree more that sales skills are life skills. And really, you highlighted that very perfectly on your journey with starting in sales and then kind of moving through being able to sell books, overcome objections. So as you know, I'm actually in the process of writing my own book and have some long-term goals as well of doing some public speaking. So although you had that experience in corporate America on those big stages, doing some of that public speaking, I haven't yet. And I know some other people who aspire to do public speaking also haven't done that. So what kind of tips and advice do you have for somebody who doesn't have that experience, who simply wants to Scott's point, take that action to learn and get started with their public speaking career?
So nice to see you, Tyler. First of all, I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for being here. I'll share a story that I learned yesterday from my good friend, David Nurse. And Tyler, definitely DM him on Instagram because he's like the nicest human ever. And he'll completely share with you how he did this. He had no speaking experience. He was in the NBA. He was a coach in the NBA. And when he got out, he thought, I want to be a speaker. So he sent an email to a friend who worked at Nestle. And he said, who is in charge of hiring speakers for your company? And he's like, I don't know. I'll find an email for you. And he tosses an email. And David tracked this person down. And every objection the person would give, you know, the person would say, I need a speaker reel. He'd be like, I'll be right back with you. And his wife is an actress and he had her like stand in with him and pretend that he was somewhere talking to someone going on live on a stage. He had never done a speech. And so he just kept every objection they throw at him, he'd overcome it. They ask for a speaker fee, he throws out a humongous number. He ends up landing the deal. And what he did is he worked harder for that speech than anything he's ever worked for in his life. And he killed it. And that one speech led to this new career for him. So I guess I don't know what your trajectory will look like, but I can tell you this, taking action, messy action is the answer. reach out to Nestle right now and find out who's in charge, right? Go on social media and say, I'm kicking off my speaking business. What companies are in need of blah, 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 whatever. Think about what problem you're going to solve for people and start putting it out there. Lead like it's already happening. Just make it a certainty, right? Not like this is something I want to do. This is something, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Go speak at a local school. You can speak virtually. People are still doing virtuals like us everywhere. Ask Scott, hey, on our next TCC, can I do a 10-minute presentation on blah, blah, blah? Like, talk about how you can add value to other people's life, how you can solve problems for others, and start showing up, raising your hand and asking for the opportunity, and those dominoes will start falling.
Messy action. I love that. Love it. All right, we're going to Colorado. We're going to Keegan Lamar.
Hey, what's happening? Hi, Heather. It's very nice to meet you. Scott, thanks for having me here. The first question I have, number one, is Heather, I have a podcast called Unstoppable Mindset, where it's about people sharing their journeys, overcoming challenges, and helping other people be able to do that and do some mindset discovery for themselves. I'd love to have you on sometime. Can we make it happen?
I love that you just did that. First of all, yes, the answer is yes, only because you're asking me publicly like this, because otherwise I would say no. I'm just going to be honest. But I love that you were so ballsy to do that. And I was just as ballsy as you are. I had Gary Vaynerchuk on my podcast. And at the end of the podcast, I said, Gary, before I let you go, I've got to ask you, while we're on camera, do you think your audience could benefit from hearing from a single mom that just got fired, how she bounced back and turned things around for herself and how they can do the same? He's like, yeah, I'm sure they could, Heather. I said, great. Can you have me on your show then? And he's like, I absolutely will. Yeah. So I'm happy to do it. And I love and respect that you go for the close. Totally.
I love it. Thank you so much. I have 2 under 2, so we can talk all about parenting.
All right, let's do it.
My second question is about mindset. So what was the biggest shift that you had to overcome when you were first starting to get into something scary, the gray area of speaking? What was the biggest mindset shift that you went from, and what kind of tips and tools did you use personally to be able to make that shift?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I don't even know what the one thing I could point to. I guess at some point along this journey, I started realizing the more I step into fear, the more I see fear as a green light that means go and go faster, the more success and opportunity I create. And I had never lived that way prior to this, right? I lived that if you feel fear, pull back, right? I was in corporate America. Oh, that's a little out of our comfort zone. Ooh, dial that back. That's not good. Let's stay in our comfort zone. So I was doing a complete opposite of what I had done for 20 years. And it felt incredibly uncomfortable. I learned somewhere along the last couple of years that getting uncomfortable or unfamiliar, being in an unfamiliar place, that's the key. That's the answer. So be scared of not feeling scared. Be scared of not being in unfamiliar territory. If I had been living like this my whole life, I'd be the flipping president of the United States right now. And I'm not going to get into what I think of the president, but clearly we haven't had the greatest candidates in the world in the past election, in my opinion. So I wish that I had really been leaning into the fear. I wish I had been putting myself out there and stepping into unfamiliar. And just think to yourself, instead of focusing so much on, I'm afraid to take that stage, I'm afraid to go for this, I'm afraid not to. I'm afraid to show up exactly like I am today, next year. That to me is death. That to me is truly frightening. And so I continue to live my life every day. Fear is a green light. That means go and go faster. And anytime I get scared, for me now, I look back to my TEDx talk. I was so petrified walking out into that stage. I almost didn't get myself out on the stage. Literally, I almost didn't go. And anytime I feel really scared now, I Google Heather Monahan TED Talk because it shows up as a TED Talk. And I didn't know that was going to happen. And I click play and I watch and I see myself in the first minute. I'm like, I'm a zombie. And then I come to and I realize I was petrified and I still figured it out. Like whatever that next challenge is, I can do this one too.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Look forward to talking soon.
Okay, me too. Thanks, Keegan.
We are going to your home state. Well, not home state, but where you live now. We're going to Florida to a brand new TCC member, Alex Smith. Alex, first of all, welcome to TCC. And you are on with Heather Monahan.
Thank you so much, Scott. It's awesome group. I was joking with Megan behind the scenes. Your Rolodex is amazing, man. You have Heather and all those names at the beginning. Just phenomenal. Heather, it's so nice to meet you. Your story resonates with me. I've been following you just as maybe long as Scott. 2019, I think I saw you in the BYLR group I'm a part of with Jesse. And you were doing some like morning bananas with Jesse, kind of fill in for him. No makeup on or nothing, just raw, natural you. And I just love that about you. You are just awesome. And I resonate with your story because I was laid off in 2019. 130% of my sales number, 150% on the way to it, and 7 years at the company. And 5 minutes it took them to just lay me off. And it wasn't me, it was them, the whole thing. I don't know if I had a villain like yours, but my question kind of stems from that, is that it took me 400 days to get a new job. COVID came, I had a lot of life stuff. I'm going to get kind of vulnerable. I don't know all of you, but my father got diagnosed with leukemia in October 2019. And while I was searching for a job, I actually lost my dad in 2020. So I've struggled with confidence, getting highest of highs, lowest of lows. And so my question for you has to go with confidence, because I now have a job. I'm thriving. I'm doing awesome. I started a podcast, but for the longest time, you were somebody that I wanted to ask, but I struggled with even getting the confidence to even send you an email to invite you. But on the other flip side of that, I've interviewed, I've sent an email to Dan Pink, and he, randomly agreed to jump on my podcast, so it's like, I struggle with asking people. So my question is, my long-winded question is, how do you get out of a rut when you've gotten a little success and maybe you need to give yourself that confidence when you you probably, I assume, maybe have doubts. How do you help yourself in some of those times when you are doubting yourself to really?
Yeah, of course. Listen, I'm always going to the next level. I'm always stepping into fear. So of course I have doubts. If I'm not doubting myself, I'm not pushing myself, right? So that's, first of all, yes, cheers to you, Alex, for pushing yourself out of familiar into unfamiliar. You're on the right path. The best hack that I can share with you is hold yourself accountable. When I wanted to write my second book, I started doubting, well, I could do one book, but could I actually do multiple books? Would anyone buy the new book? Do I even have it within me? And the minute I started doubting myself, I went to social media and I posted everywhere. I'm coming out with a new book this year. I'm so excited to share it with you. I didn't know what it was going to be called. I didn't know what I was going to write, but I knew, Alex, if I hold myself accountable to people out in my community, they're going to come back to me, whether it's haters or people who love me. They're going to be like, hey, what's up with the new book? What's the date? They're going to hold me accountable to my goal. And so I really reverse engineer social media in that way. Now you have TCC, like you have this group right here that you can say, and put it in the chat, Alex, tell us what you're going to do next. Like, what's the next big thing you're going to go for? So your team and your crew and community here can help hold you accountable. And often, like, Scott is the most connected person in the world, as you mentioned. He might be like, your goal might be to get some person XYZ on. He might be like, oh, no problem, I know that guy. But no one's going to be able to help you if you don't put it out there. So drop it in the chat. What big thing are you going for 2022? And frankly, everybody should do that so that we all hold ourselves accountable. My book will be out in Feb. That's a big one. That's really exciting.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. We're going to stay in Florida and we're going to go to Jason. And I think you guys at one point, we're going to have a rap battle, you and Jason. That never happened. That's a little disappointing. But Jason, you're up with Heather, and I don't know if you're going to rap or just ask her a question, but you're up.
I'm not going to rap this time. I sent her a gift wrap after, but yes, Heather, we do need to do maybe a combined thing, particularly if I put you on the spot here, but got your book. Can't wait to read it. But no, my question. So, for you just even talking about, loved how you got put on the spot and said yes, but you would have said no. So speaking of no, that falls in my wheelhouse of the time management, right? With all these things that you are accomplishing and want to accomplish. Maybe, I'd love to hear some tips that you could share of how do you balance that, right? Particularly as a single mom, on top of all the things that you're doing. How are you looking at what's the ROI? Where do I spend my time? What do I have to say no to? etc. Love to hear your thoughts.
Jason, didn't you just connect me to a speaking opportunity?
I did, yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much for that. Thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for recommending me. I super appreciate your support, number one. Thanks
Sure.
for getting the book. I can't wait to hear what you think. But here's, balance is bullshit, right? That's a chapter in my first book, I think. And here's what sucks people's time up: thinking about everything. This is just my opinion. I don't sit around thinking about, oh, I wonder if this is my best ROI. I move fast and I break things. And yes, that might not be the right plan for you, but it's the way I'm able to accomplish as much as I do. Yes, there will be a time when my company is big enough that I'll have people to delegate to, like I did back in corporate America, and I am amazing at delegating. So, anyone wants to take the work on, here it is, go do it for me. I empower you to do your best work. But right now I'm a solo entrepreneur. So to me, getting the book out there with 3 errors in it, my first book, my second one has 0 errors because it took 2 years and 200 people to make. But my first one was me, right? And so there's 3 mistakes in there. I'm over here cheering for me. I'm like, I love that I have a book with 3 mistakes. And I have people that will email me, you know that you put the wrong age for your child in that book. Yes, slightly embarrassing, but we move on. I will be the woman on my deathbed that says, I'm so proud of that book with 3 mistakes that I made. I'll never be that person on her deathbed saying, I always had a book inside me, but I never got it perfect. So it'll never be, right? And I'll tell you, in the new book, the last chapter is about one of my mentors, one of the biggest mentors in my life, who passed away during COVID. He was just starting to write his first book during COVID, right before he passed away. And it was heart-wrenching for me. He's such an amazing person, always put corporate America first, always put his job, first. And instead of putting his ideas and leaving his legacy, he was big into legacy. And what I realized when he passed away is legacy doesn't have to be a book to live on. Legacy can live on in the people that love you and care about you and share your story to follow. And that's why I included him in my book, is I want his legacy to live on. But to make a long story longer, just move fast, break things. Done will always be better than perfect until you can start delegating. And when that happens, it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
Rap battle coming next. All right. Do we have a question from another Lindsay? I'm not sure. That could be the Lindsay that already asked. Somebody asked a question in the chat. I missed it. So I'm not sure who that was, but somebody had a question in the chat.
It's Candace Nelson from South Dakota.
Hello, Candace.
And everybody on the call. First and foremost, Heather, I just want to say that you have been such an inspiration. I am a 41-year-old single mom as well. So you've been an inspiration to me. But one thing that I want to ask you is, how do you truly let go of hurdles or people that are kind of holding you back from living your true purpose?
Wait, I couldn't hear the last thing that you said. You cut out.
I have not received it yet.
Oh, okay. So how do you get ahead when you've got people that are trying to hold you back? Is that the question? Okay. And I pointed to overcome your villains, right? So here's the thing, and this is really truth. The biggest villain you're ever going to encounter in your life is the one that lies between your own 2 ears, right? We know that. However, this is my experience. When I was surrounded with villains, people trying to hold me back, it was crystal clear that woman at work hated me, always giving me the ugly eye, passive aggressive behavior, talking behind my back. As long as I had a villain around me, I never was able to confront the one within me because I was so focused on, okay, play defense and do the politically right thing and strategize. I was putting so much energy and effort to managing the villain in my life, one of the villains in my life, that I never got to address the one that was really harming me, myself. So the day that woman thought she fired me, I actually had fired my number one villain. And that freed up all this space for amazing people like Scott McGregor to show up into my life and for me to take on the real villain that had been harming me my whole life, which was me, because I was allowing for people like her in my life. So my challenge to you, and definitely go to overcomeyourvillains.com and download the workbook. It's free. just put in like 11111 if it asks you for a number, and download my workbooks. Get to work on this stuff right now. It's going to talk about who are those villains in your life. You seem to know who they are, just based upon the way you just framed it up. You know who these people are. You are allowing them to have you not reach your potential. You need to fire them. And I remember at one point in time, my mom was my villain in my life, and I had to create boundaries with her, and I had to have a difficult conversation, but it changed things for the better for me. And then my mom didn't want me to write my first book, and I decided to thank her for her limiting beliefs and hand them back to her. None of those things were easy, but I'm so proud and grateful that I put myself first. I was straight up and honest with her, and I had clear communication. She didn't like my decisions, but I chose to put myself first and move on and kind of step over what somebody else wanted for me. So the more you allow for that, the more resentment you're going to have, the more frustration you're going to have, and the more you're going to give your energy and angst to these people instead of to the real challenges and opportunities that you could have in front of you. So download that workbook, get to work on it, and fire those villains today.
Okay, thank you.
So if you haven't figured it out yet, when in doubt, take action, and take massive action, and take messy action. That is Heather to a T. And it's certainly one of the things that I admire tremendously about you. So Kathy says we have one last question from one of my favorite people in California, Chad. You are the cleanup hitter today. You're up.
Yeah, we're gonna make this quick because I know I joined a little late. But Heather, thank you for your time. I'm like many of us, got the book on the way to add to the repertoire. But my question is, have you ever thought about taking your story to a screen, a big screen, or to a series?
Is this a rhetorical question?
Reese Witherspoon.
I mean, clearly you and I don't know each other. So I'm going to give you the quick and skinny. Yeah, I was on Maria Menounos' show. She loved my first book, Confidence Creator. This is back in 2018 or 2019. And when I was leaving her house, we had just recorded the podcast. She said, if there's ever anything I can do to help you, let me know. And I said, yes. Can you get my book to Reese Witherspoon? I want this book to become a movie. It's meant to be a movie. And she said, well, I don't know her, but if anything, comes up, I'll let you know. 24 hours later, I was still in LA. She called my phone and she said, guess what? Reese Witherspoon just called and she asked me to be a guest on her podcast next week. She said, fly home, ship me like a box of books. I want to have enough books for everyone. I'm going to get this deal done for you. She's a Boston girl. I'm a Boston girl. There was like a lot of love there. So anyhow, I go home, I overnight the books to her assistant. She gets them, she goes in, does the podcast, sits with the whole team at Hello Sunshine, which makes movies of female authored books. And she pitches my book. They said, okay, we'll read it. And crickets, nothing ever happened. So then I landed a meeting with Netflix and I pitched them my idea. And they were like, we'll think about it. I met with E and pitched them my idea. I met with E 6 times actually now at this point. So yeah, this is gonna happen. Maybe it's gonna be this book, I don't know, but it's definitely in the works. I don't know when it's gonna happen. It's not if, it's when. And I'm not sure which book it'll be about, and I'm not sure if it's a series, and I'm not sure if Netflix or Reese or what. But yeah, this has been in motion for a few years.
And the reason why I asked, we're closing up here, and I just introduced Scott to a colleague of mine out of Southern California, Tracy Holland, who's the founder of Hatch Beauty. Not sure if you heard of that brand. And then she's connected to another colleague of mine, Andrea Albright, who's the CEO of Beverly Hills Publishing. And so she's around a lot of investors, a lot of entertainment out of Beverly Hills. And so her is publish a book, have the PR, and then try to get these folks to encourage them to get on the main screen. That she has connections to the executive director of Dr. Oz, et cetera, et cetera. So I was just curious because I think there might be some synergies or maybe some introductions to help catapult this concept.
Chad, let's go. Let's make the intros, and I would so appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. We'll connect offline.
Thank you.
Heather, I don't think you need Reese Witherspoon. You auditioned for yourself for your audiobook and you got that. So I say you play yourself. And if we need to get to Reese Witherspoon, we can do it through Sarah Blakely, because Sarah and Reese are like super, super tight. This has been a blast. Guys, thanks for joining us. Heather, thank you for bringing massive energy, tons of value, lots of great actionable takeaways. I can't thank you enough. You know what you mean to me. And I really, really appreciate you carving out the time. And I hope Dylan is A-okay.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And thank you all, everybody, for being here. Love Team TCC. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Is Megan Riley still around? Not that I'm putting Megan on the spot, if she's still around.
You totally just put me on the spot, and I am around.
What's up, Megan? How are you?
She's in the closet.
So
I'm
Megan,
still in the closet.
you're joining us on the 11th.
Yes, and I am pumped. I am ready.
Are you doing it from the closet?
Probably until unless someone here is going to come renovate this house for me, I will be in my glorious closet. Although actually, I'm going to step it for TCC.
I love it.
Yeah,
I'm
super
so
pumped.
excited to have you, and it's going to be so much fun. So anyway, I just thought I'd put you on the spot. If you can put anybody on the spot, it's
bring
Megan.
it.
She
I'm ready
rises
to
the
tap
occasion.
dance. I'm ready. Hey, I'm excited. I love these calls so much. Heather, you are just the greatest. I didn't get to meet you at the launch party. I did a quick hello, but I wanted to corner you and really get after it, and I didn't. So you're probably lucked out. But another time I will find a way to do that. But thank you for today. It was awesome.
Oh, well, great to see you here, Megan. And next time, yeah, you'll have to let me know for sure. Tackle me.
That's okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. Listen, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I know everybody's got busy days. Thank you for carving out time to spend with us. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I see you all on the 12th for Dr. Jeff Spencer. If you're not following Dr. Jeff Spencer, follow him. If you haven't bought Heather's book, buy her book. And if you do buy her book, make sure you leave a review. It's super, super, super important. So for those of you who have already bought it, leave a review on Amazon. I know it'll mean the world to Heather. And Heather, thanks again. We love you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Bye,
Heather.
guys.